Good morning, it's us.
Good morning.
Okay, we're talking about stuff. Um, so say that again.
You're the one that said all the things.
I know, but lead me
I'm
in.
still waking up.
Okay, so we were talking about how it's uh, not really easy to accomplish goals that you set based on expectations for that other people have or that you've made around trying to please other people. And I'm speaking from experience. And it's easier to accomplish goals when you set yourself up for success, like uh, having a journal and having a planner, for me at least, are helpful. And then using them because I have bought planners and I have bought journals and I have not used them. And the last couple few days, week or so, um, I've been journaling, which then gives me things to go back and look at. Um, and the planner lets me go back and say, oh, I did this and I did this and I did this. And so, like, it's a way of kind of reminding yourself of what you have done because I feel like I get kind of lost sometimes in that loop of what I have not done and I haven't done this and I haven't done that and then I get mean to myself about it. Um, but instead being able to track, oh, I actually worked towards my goal in this way and I worked towards that other goal in this other way and like here are these days where I was consistent about doing that. It's almost like it gives you that boost of motivation or, you know, like momentum to keep going and keep working towards your goals and keep doing the things. And so like one day I did my first ever 15-minute meditation and I was super proud of myself and like I wrote it in my journal and so I was able to go back and be like, "Oh my gosh, I actually did that. That was super cool." And then like, stretching and flossing my knees and doing push-ups and um like I did the most push-ups that I've done in a really long time yesterday in sets throughout the day. And then today was able to write about that and be like, "Man, I actually did that. That feels really good." Um and then like writing it on my planner, I did this yesterday and I did this yesterday and I did this yesterday. And then having that second day of consistency where I was like, oh, and I was consistent about them today. And I feel like all of that sort of leads itself to, um, like feeling like you can continue to succeed at things, right? Like building that momentum of success rather than not tracking them and not writing them down and then therefore not really feeling like you have a basis for self celebration. Because my partner's been telling me how important self celebration is, and I've not been the most, I don't know, good at that. But, anyways, what did you want to say?
um, that I'm really proud of you. That's awesome. And I have not been really working. I did a little bit of journaling yesterday, which was cool after listening to some podcasts. And then I haven't worked at my journal at all yet. So it's inspiring. So maybe I'll get my journal out today and start actually working on
Mm. Positive peer group. Get yourself a positive peer group.
it.
People that are around you doing cool stuff or that you feel inspired by because he has he might sound like, oh, I haven't been doing my journal. He works out every day. And so when I see him working out, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to work out. Or when I see him doing a specific exercise, I'm like, oh, I haven't done that workout yet. Or if he does something that's really challenging, like, what was that cool thing that you did the other day? Um, I don't remember. It was like over here. Anyways, sometimes he does cool physical challenges for himself, and then when he does them, I guess my competitive side is like, I want to see if I can do that. So then I have to go try the thing, which then So positive peer group, self celebration, journaling, consistent habits. I don't know what else. What would you say? How would you connect this to the martial arts realm? Because all the like when we talk about martial arts, it's all the things, right? So like all the things that we look at in the self development sphere, all the things we look at in the self leadership sphere are directly related to our martial arts training and or our considered martial arts training when we think about them, because there's not really a separation for us. But if we were to talk specifically about it, like I guess it's the discipline side of it, like
Yeah.
developing
I
self
mean,
discipline and
um, both directions, like personal development betters your martial arts, and martial arts betters your personal development because they're the same thing and interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Like so in the personal development, helping your martial arts, um, learning these skills of like journaling, creating goals for yourself, having your planner are all kind of like accountability tools that um, keep like one like give you visuals on your progress and to keep you like accountable to making that progress. And so in martial arts, it can be kind of ambiguous sometimes what you're like, there's so much to work on, there's so many
Mm-hmm.
different aspects and things
Mm-hmm.
that it can kind of be like I worked on my martial arts,
Yeah.
but did you did you like what did you do, what things were you trying to do, what are your goals, how are you building towards those goals, or all the kind of questions we ask in like personal development, but having that same accountability that you develop through using planners and journals and stuff like that, bring that into your martial arts, having that same kind of accountability tools for those things.
Mm.
And the other side, yeah, like you said, um, martial arts, talking about discipline and like warrior scholars and stuff like that, like all of those ideas of um, being consistent, training your mind and your body. Um, this is that practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I was going to say it also connects to the idea of like in kata, when you visualize your opponent is always yourself. And like there's ways to think about that in terms of practical application. Like your opponent has the same height as you, has the same build as you, has the same, like weight as you, whatever. Like there's physical representations of yourself so that you can see an analog for your technique applications, but at the same time it's also like metaphorical, like your opponent is yourself. Like if we're thinking about advancing through the world, improving ourselves, developing ourselves, leading ourselves, and we think of it like every time we succeed over, or every time we uh, overcome that, like I don't really want to, or I'd rather just scroll on social media, or oh, I'd rather just play video games or whatever. Like, not that those things are necessarily bad in and of themselves, but if they take the place of habits that could be more beneficial to you, it's like every time you do that instead, it's like you've overcome that. I don't even like to say enemy of self because I feel like we're supposed to be on our own team, but the idea that that they have like maybe like a self-sabotaging side of ourselves, or like a lazy side of ourselves that we're maybe trying to overcome, or trying to um I'm trying to use non-aggressive type language because I feel like when we get into that, I will defeat my weak self and I will blah, 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 like I don't like
mm-hmm.
that. I don't feel like I've spent so long in the self-loathing realm that I'm really kind of over it. Like I don't like that anymore. Um and really it's like it's kind of just, do you mind if I go off for a second? So like if I were to imagine the way my old relationship with myself was, it'd be like, you know, that weak POS blah 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 side of me, and like I kicked its ass today and I did this today and blah 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 and I'm so cool and whatever. It was really coming from a place of overcompensation, whereas now it's almost like I see all the damage in myself and all of the toxic shit that I've been carrying around. I can say shit, right?
Yeah.
All the toxic stuff I've been carrying around and whatever. It's almost like now it's like an invitation to prove to myself that I'm worth self care, that I'm, worth protecting. Like we've talked about that with regard to self defense before. Like if you have fundamentally disconnect between your training, which is practicing self defense, practicing, this, how dare this person attack me? I'm going to stop them, blah, blah, blah. If you fundamentally don't believe that you're worth protecting, that becomes a lot more challenging. And so having to overcome all of that is also like bolstering your relationship with yourself. And so I feel like that's kind of where I'm at with this. All this self discipline, all this overcoming is sort of like paving the path for me to believe in myself more, and paving the path for me to have like a healthy relationship with myself and stuff. So, I guess there's that too. Like,
Yeah.
your opponent is yourself, but it's also not really an opponent. It's like
Yeah. So I mean, I think
in
that's
that yin yang idea, it could be your
yeah,
opponent, could be your friend, frenemies.
yeah. Um, in that what we're trying to do is improve and grow. Uh, so there might be areas where we are like we're trying to improve or do something different. So if there's an area where we're um, not as skilled or not as strong as we'd like to be, those are areas that we're going to improve. But they're not. They don't have to necessarily be looked at like enemies. Like it's just an area that needs improvement. So I don't know. Yeah, getting away from like self berating yourself or uh, even like saying that um, you're your own worst enemy type stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
by saying stuff like that and acknowledging stuff like that means you have to go to battle with yourself. And I don't think that's necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the idea of like going to battle with your limitations, like because like um, that I think is the enemy. Preconceived notions on our limitations because any limitations we think we have are generally um, far before our actual like limitations.
Say more.
So like most things that we say like I can do this, I can't do that type stuff. Aside from like we can't like jump off a building and flap our arms and fly, right? Outside of like needing like some sort of equipment, like our bodies just aren't designed for that. So,
There are actual
yes.
limitations.
Like not being like foolish to say that there's no limitations, but the limitations that like there's like Tony Robbins was talking about with does that little like finger point behind you
Mm.
thing where we even have like self-imposed limitations on how far we can turn our bodies around that we don't even realize we have until we break them and we're like I didn't even realize I could turn that far, holy crap. But and then it's just proof of like if we have a silly limitation like that we don't see until we break it, how many other limitations we have on ourselves that we're currently staying behind because we have some idea of a limitation ourselves. Same with like that 3 minute mile.
Mm.
Like it was 4 minute mile? Yeah, 4 minute mile. Uh, where nobody broke it for the longest time in recorded history until one person just like believed it and 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 finally broke it. And then hundreds of people, thousands of people have now broken it. And it's just like breaking down those barriers and those limitations that aren't real.
Mm.
Like those are the only thing that I can think of to point to that are like true enemies of our progress. You um, ourselves are not necessarily our enemy. That like if there's any part where you're like not satisfied with, like that's fine. Like having a little bit of like frustration and stuff like that because you know you can be better is energy. Like it signals that that's a space that you want to be better at. But that doesn't necessarily mean that um, that's bad,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like getting away from good and bad, I
Ooh,
think
yeah,
is
that's a good
because
idea.
it's like it's a just is thing.
Mm-hmm.
You are currently this way. You want to be this way. Do the work to go from here to there.
Right.
Um, the only things that are like really enemies that we have to like break down and fight with and discover and find out about that are holding us back are limitations.
Mm, that's super helpful.
You know, as far as like, is there an argument to be made that limitations aren't our enemy? I don't know.
I think when we get away from, like, I guess that would start to get into that philosophy of idea of like, what is an enemy, right? Like, because a limitation is a thing that can hold us back, and it's also a challenge set before us, right? So, is fear good or bad? So,
Okay.
I think maybe like it is what it is. I hate to say that, but it is what it is. Like, we have limitations in a physical realm. We can't fly. We can't hold our breath for an hour. Like those things that are just physically incapable for human beings. And then there's things like I've never done it before, and so therefore I don't believe that I can, which is then transcending into that realm of like the unknown, and humans don't do especially well with unknowns. Um, which I think then is just more of that like building trust in yourself, building belief in your own capabilities. We were talking yesterday about fear, and I'm pointing to the board behind me because we wrote some stuff down yesterday. But fear is helpful and it's scary. So an enemy is helpful. It's an opportunity for challenge. It's a way to find out what we're really capable of. And it's scary because a lot of that falls into that unknown territory of like, I don't really know what I'm capable of until I do it. And to go back into martial arts for a second, like I have a really personal example of that where we were at a seminar and yeah, I'm not really a performative martial art person. Like I don't really like doing stuff in front of people. Whoops, sorry. I don't like doing stuff in front of people for the sake of an audience type stuff. Like I'm not really big on tournaments. I'm not really big on, presentery stuff. But there was this person I had high esteem for, and he was one of the instructors. And so he was giving a seminar. There were probably about 50 people or so there. Yeah, like 100 people. I guess there were 100 people.
I wasn't there.
I know. There were like 100 people, and half of them were super cool people, and the other half of us were students, just kind of like there to learn. And I assume everybody was there to learn, getting away from the topic. So there was a person in the audience who said, uh, "This is just one of those things for me. I would grab a girl different." The discussion was around how how a grab would take place, like the physical presentation of a grab, how like what mechanics a person would be using and whatever. Um, and I don't remember what the intent was described as being, whether it was like an abduction or an assault. Like obviously those are different grabs, but the idea was this person said I would grab a girl different, average size dude, whatever.
Do
So
you see the heckles rising?
yeah, like just spikes, right? So the person who's leading the seminar is a good friend of our teacher, and he knows that I'm one of our teacher students. So he came over and he was like, "Hey, come up here." It's like, okay. So previous me was like, "Oh no, there's people. I can't do things in front of people." And then I would grab a girl different, makes me go, so focus mode. So I step up in front, and this guy's like, "Well, I would do this, this, this," and I was like, "Cool, show me, whatever." Like, so he, physically manipulated my body in the way that he assumed would happen. Seminar person came over and said, "Are you being compliant?" I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He's like, "Stop it." "Yes, sir." "All right." So then my teacher's words, just hit, right? Came up, and as soon as this dude's shoulder moved, I was like, okay. And I basically just folded him around so that his arm was behind his back and he's facing the other direction. And then my brain went, kick him in the knee, punch him in the back of the head. And I was like, wait, no, I'm not trying to actually injure this person. Like, stop there. So I stopped there. But the point that I'm making with the story is that I had this previously imposed limitation on myself where like I have this capability and then here comes this opportunity, and the opportunity showed me that I'm actually capable of doing all this stuff with no forethought, no planning, no I will do this followed by this followed by this, because my body had done the motions enough that I just did the thing. And so now my trust in myself is higher, which means my capabilities in my own mind are higher, right? So it's that kind of idea of like we impose these limitations on ourselves, and that's kind of the safety zone, that's the comfort zone. And then all the things beyond that comfort zone are scary and unknowns and whatever, and they're opportunities for us to prove to ourselves, hey, I've grown, I've improved in this way, and I'm better than I thought I was, or I'm more capable than I thought I was. And now my new limitation is, now what the hell did I just do? I don't even know what I did, right? And then it's a question of like doing it intentionally. So the next phase of my training then is to figure out how to do what I did unintentionally intentionally. So, or unconsciously subconsciously. doing what I did subconsciously, consciously, I guess, right? So like being
Well,
able to articulate, I did this followed by this because of this and this and this that this person did or whatever.
yeah, I mean that's the phases of training, right? Is to like not know what the hell you're doing, learn some stuff, kind of be able to do it in practice, be able to do it without thinking, and then like improve it. So you have to take it out of unconscious back into conscious and screw it all up and improve it, and then learn to do it in practice, and then take it back into being able to do it unconsciously,
Mm,
and then running through that phase over and over and over and over again.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that brings up an interesting point. We're looking at your limitations and fear as like worthy rivals, where it's like not necessarily an enemy, but a force that challenges you to be better. Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to think about it. Is there anything else that you would like to give to the people?
No, I think you said a lot. That was good.
Ha. I tend to talk, so it's good.
You might be. No, it's good.
Okay. I appreciate it. All right, cool. Well, happy Monday. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Get out there and train and stuff.
Yeah, and stuff.
Find your limitations, call them out as your worthy rivals, and see if you can surpass them. It's your challenge from us. See if you can. No, for real. Like, find a thing that really, if you think about it, it's within your realm of capability, and you're just kind of uncomfortable about trying it, and go try it, and just see if you can overcome that little limitation. Because what it'll do is it'll help you realize that you are capable of more than you thought you were, and it'll help kind of build that momentum towards whatever the next big kind of out of your realm right now goal is. Right. So, yeah, do the thing. Bye.